Thank you for coming out this evening. I'm very pleased and excited to be able to share this research work with you. Do we need to take just a minute for a deep breath? How about just eyes closed and a deep breath and get centered? Let's just get a little bit centered as a group. And just enjoy the tone of a Tibetan singing bowl. Take a deep breath. Bring your consciousness here and not out on the freeway. One more deep breath. And now we're all here. Thank you. Okay, so the program I have, first I'll be speaking about my dissertation work, and then I'll transition to the horse research that we did. I've brought a number of handouts in the back, as most of you have found them. I didn't bring copies of the full dissertation. It's 360 some pages, and I'll pass this one around, but I did bring just a page or two of the cover and the abstract so you can understand at least what it was covering. So we'll start with talking about that one, and I'll hand that around. Of all the handouts, please help yourself, except I want that back. That's my last paperback copy of the dissertation I did. So, my background, I've got an MBA. I've got 30 years as a technology management professional, as senior technical project manager and senior technical business analyst. I make my living, a pretty good living in technology with my left brain. But what I'm here to talk about today is my right brain work. PhD in psychology, I finished in 2014 with a concentration in consciousness and spirituality from Saybrook University. You may or may not be familiar with Saybrook. Most people that are interested in these kinds of topics are. I'm also the honorary website manager for the Society for Psychical Research in London. If you're not a member of that organization, it may be something that you may want to take a look at. It's pretty interesting, and they cover a lot of material that you probably would have an interest in. I'm also a Reiki Master, Healing Touch for Animals practitioner, and the webmaster. I also grow roses. Webmaster for the Pacific Northwest District of the American Rose Society. I'm a consulting rosarian with the ARS and have been growing roses for a really long time. So the dissertation research covered, I did 50 animal communication sessions during May and June of 2013. Originally I was planning to do 20. My dissertation committee said, okay, that'd be great, 20 would be good. And I sent out my recruiting email, and after the first week I had about 15 responses, 12 I think actually. And I thought, okay, I'm in good shape for 20. And then my animal communication trainer, and very good friend now, named Mary Getton, who's been doing animal communication work for 30 years, forwarded my recruiting email to her distribution list of 700 people. And do you guys remember in the movie about Mickey Mouse and the broomsticks? Right? That's what it felt like for that week. I got 130 emails saying, I want to come play. Because basically I was offering a free animal communication session, right? And I talked to my committee, and I said, hi, what am I going to do? What should I do here? I'm overwhelmed. And they said, 50 would be great. And I said, 50? Well, and I thought about it for a couple days, and I thought, well, why not? It's summer. What else have I got to do this summer except talk to dogs? So we did 50. 80 people were turned down for that original research, and that is unheard of in the research world, right? So I blew my committee away with that. The Guardians were located in 36 different cities. At the time I did this, we were living in Kalama, right up the road a bit. So I was in Kalama. The Guardian was on the phone with me. The canine participants, pretty even gender split, and this was kind of just sheer dumb luck. of 26 male and 24 female, and the average age of the canines was about 7.5 years old. So all sessions were conducted over the phone. I'm in my meditation room. I've got a blackout mask on. I've quieted my mind and called the guardian on the phone and pushed the recording, so we've got a recording of it as well. So there were 5 questions asked of all the dogs. How many humans do you live with? Have you been with your guardian since you were very young? What is your favorite food or treat you get now? What would you like most about your life? And what would you like to change about your life? Got some really interesting answers to those questions. And then the session was open to anything the guardian wanted to ask. Anything the guardian wanted to ask. One of the more interesting questions was, well, can we do this session and only have one dog hear it? I said, no. Telepathic animal communication is a party line to any dog or animal that wants to hear it, right, that's in the household. The dissertation goes into a lot of detail, and one of the reasons it ran 365 pages is because I was intent on really showing the devil's always in the details, right? So that dissertation has every single one of the 50 communication sessions I did, with every question the guardian asked, and all the responses that I got. This was all recorded, remember? So after the session, it was all transferred to a web survey form, and the email link was sent to the guardian in an email. So they got a link to the session audio recording, so they could re-listen to it to make sure they really heard it right. And a link to a web survey form with a summary of all their questions asked and all the responses that I received from their canine, with a ranking for them to essentially rate every question on accuracy, from a rating from 1, entirely inaccurate, to 6, being entirely accurate. So they rated every question, and then at the end of the survey form, I asked for a rating for the accuracy of the entire session, right? All of it. So the average accuracy rating across all 50 sessions on a scale of 1 to 6 was 5.12. And that blew my committee away. This was really fun to do. It really was fun. A little table on the top that kind of shows you how many sessions and what the overall ranking was. The number 2 was interesting. There were 2 greyhounds, 2 rescue greyhounds in the house. One of them an older and more dominant dog, and then a younger and much less dominant dog. And it turned out that as we're in the session, it's a party line, remember? The older dog, I was trying to talk to the younger dog. That's who the guardian had questions for. And the older dog started answering. And I couldn't really tell the difference, right? I mean, it's pretty subtle. Animal communication is pretty subtle. And then I got a 2, and I went, huh. I know I'm not that off, And I went back to the guardian and said, would it be possible, would this make any sense if Levi, the older dog, had been started answering the questions? And she came back and said, oh, well, yeah. It could make a little more sense that way. I said, well, okay. So the lesson learned for me, you can see this was only the 4th session that I did of 50. So the lesson learned there was, if there were multiple animals in the household, to just ask that everybody else would just stay out of it. From at the very beginning of the session, I always ask the guardian, how many companion animals are in the house, and I asked them specifically to stay out of it, and I never had any trouble again. So it was good. It was early in my learning of doing these. The one number 3 was also interesting. This was a basset hound, and the dog was fine, but the woman, the guardian, was goofy. She had just really strange and goofy questions for her dog. And I got done, and I thought, that's not going to go well. That's not going to be a high rating, and it wasn't. But everything else, as you can see, was a 4, 5, 6, and you can also see that as time went on, and I started doing more sessions, that I seem to have gotten more accurate. So I thought that was a really interesting trend, too. If I had stopped at 20, at like this one, you know, about right there, I wouldn't have nearly as interesting data, you know? So I was happy in the end that I did that many, and kind of wish that I'd had more time to do more, you know. And then this table shows, again, that the length of the session is the blue line. This is time on the left axis. And the overall rating along the bottom. So as the session took more time, it seemed to get more accurate as well. Probably the shortest session I did was 15, 20 minutes, and the longest went an hour. And then I'd like to move to the animal communication study we did with horses, therapeutic riding horses, and their recovering wounded veteran partners. It was published in the Neuroquantology Journal in June of 2016. So first, let's meet the horses of Rainier Acres Ranch. We'll see if the sound works on that.
Hang on. Root beer.
So she's got a rattle that she's getting them stirred up with. So we'll go on. So this research involved the 12 horses, 7 veterans, 7 military veterans, 2 guardians, Debbie Fisher and Bob Wolk, our partners on Rainier Acres Ranch, 2 animal communicators, Wanda Buckner and Crystal Ashley, both in Olympia, and myself. So let's talk for a minute about how very damaging PTSD is. You know, PTSD is a soul wound. In the Civil War, it was called soldier's heart. And Edward Tick, well, let me go through the rest of the bullets here, estimated to affect 14% of deployed military personnel and nearly 44% of those deployed individuals who've experienced mild traumatic brain injury and a high level of combat. In other words, you take a perfectly normal man or woman and you send them to a war zone where they're at risk of being killed every single day. And why is it a surprise that they come home a little bit crazy? Why is this a surprise? Cost to society is huge. Billions of dollars are being spent on PTSD therapy. Edward Tick described it as a soul wound, means that all the functions ever attributed to the soul are distorted, damaged, lost, and confused by the horrible wounding of war. The way we think, the way we feel, the way we act, the way we love, the way we participate in employment, whether or not we can participate in society, our moral sensibility, and our aesthetics are all profoundly distorted and disturbed by the experience of war. PTSD is a cry of the soul trapped in the underworld. It is a frozen trauma consciousness that makes the whole world look like a war zone. The self shrinks, barely staying alive and struggling to tolerate daily life, while the world looks like it is exploding around us. If we need to use the acronym PTSD, let's call it post-terror soul distress. One of the best descriptions I've ever read in all my research. So the research paper goes on to talk about each one of the horses, their years in therapy, their breed and gender, and how long they've been working at it. So there were also 5 standard questions we asked each of the horses, and then the questions from the veterans. Again, they could ask anything they wanted. And then the guardian had a few questions specific to each horse. So the standard questions: tell me about your therapy with the veterans. What do you do at your job? What do you like and dislike? What advice would help a new therapy horse to understand or do its job better? What advice would help veterans to understand their horses better? And then finally, and this was a guardian's question, do you have any mouth pain? Because she knew that all of them were due for a dental exam. So we wanted to get that information up front from the horses themselves, and then compare it to the veterinary exams, right? So Acorn, when asked, what do you do at your job? Acorn said, I'm their rock. I'm here to help them trust again. I'm here to let them remember how to be calm, like I am. Chance said, I provide a center, a stable base, and support for Daniel and anyone like Daniel. I listen, encourage him, let him know that's life, show him a little fun, and the thrills we have as horses. I'm here to bring him into my world, the world of moving through life instead of staying stuck in life. Frank said, well, I stand around a lot. I walk very calmly. I really don't like to work too hard. I allow a wide variety of people to groom me and saddle me and lead me. Quite down to earth. The next question, what do you like and dislike about your job? And Clyde replied, I like more experienced riders because there are more interesting things to do. They about all said that. I dislike beginners because you end up doing the same things over and over. Tiberius, a very beautiful horse. Well, he said, I'll tell you, I don't like nervous Nellies. I don't like anxious warriors. I like people who are confident, who want to work with me, not who want to make me do things. It's not about making the horse do things. It's about teamwork. It's about cooperation. It's about riders' signals and desires and staying focused on what we're doing. Lots of these veterans couldn't do that. Stay focused. White Lightning is a little 1-year-old filly, a baby. But White Lightning had some really interesting things to say for Alex, her veteran. She said, I like that I'm the one that Alex comes to see me each time, that I'm always his choice of all the horses. I like the variety in my day, that we have something to do when he comes. I dislike when Alex is hard, like a wall, like a cold rock. Then I feel like I'm just waiting, like I should go away from him, like he would prefer me to be gone. So I just try to stay sort of invisible until he needs to go. It's confusing to me why he chooses to visit me when he wishes I were gone, but I can wait and just join my horse friends later. Don't think animals pick up our emotions, huh? So what advice would you have for a new therapy horse? Benson said, it's most important for the horse to be who they are, and for the humans to appreciate the horse for who the horse is. We each have our own personality. Sometimes the horse will be hard to handle with an adult and will be easily led by a child. Sometimes the only way you know is by trying the horse out. Cartier said, have patience. You're training them, really, to rely on your calmness, solidness, and stable nature. Tiberius said, understand that there are all sorts of people out there. Some you're going to like, some not so much. It doesn't make any difference. A good therapy horse will always have a job. I'm good at what I do. The new therapy horse should realize he has a job to do and he should do it well. So I need to interrupt the flow here with a story that is not in this research paper, but I just laughed and laughed, and it was something I'll never forget in my life. So I was there at the ranch interviewing Gabe, his veteran, and the names have all been changed here to protect the innocent, right? So Tiberius' name was really Tango. And Gabe and I were done, and we were standing there talking. Gabe was up on the back of Tango. Tango was eating apples from a tree. And I said to Tango, I said, we need to come up with another name for everybody in the paper. I said, and I think I'll call you Trouble. and he went, and he broke his head back, and he looked at me, and he shook his head as hard as he could. And Gabe said, I don't think he likes that. I said, I don't think he likes it either. I said, well, you think about it. You need to come up, with a name for him. And then we chatted for a minute, and Gabe says, well, how about Tiberius? And I looked at Tango, and I said, okay, is that better? How do you like Tiberius? Yeah, that's good.
Oh, wow.
Don't tell me they don't understand everything you said. They do. What advice do you have for the veterans? Red Star offered that humans nearly always have so much to adjust about us. We are of a different race, species, mind, soul, and origins. We have been balanced and centered for so long, and we were so used to that reality. The veterans are just the opposite, splintered, hyper, tired, and full of fear. We understand fear because we are herd animals, prey animals. So I would suggest to new therapy vets that they soak us up, that they walk and stand and sit within our aura as softly as possible, to feel the ancient strength and steadiness of a horse. Sort of use our energy as nutrition for a while, without even trying. We can take them within and let them drink from our energy, and they can just relax. It can feel like medicine. We are medicine, if you want it. Venus is the paint in front. She offered, understand it comes a little at a time, learning and growing, and we appreciate them working at it like we do. And then behind her, the white is Frank. They need to realize that this is our job. I don't get all emotionally entangled with the people who ride me and who work with me. I think understanding horses in general is very important. It's important to know that we're not dogs, and we're not cougars. Horses are a distinct group. We have our own rules, our own code of conduct, our own social structure. Sometimes it's hard for people who haven't been around horses to understand. They have no understanding of our body language and what it means. They give us confusing signals, or they're overly affectionate. We're not always sure where they're coming from. So on the mouth pain question, so all 12 horses got a dental exam by one of the veterinarians out of Lacey. 6 of the 12 said, nope, I'm good. Don't need any work done. And that was confirmed by the veterinarian. None of those 6 needed any work done. But the other 6 said, oh, you know, something back here in the back on the bottom. I try not to set it off while eating, you know. Maybe another one said, yeah, a little bit here, you know, upper left. It's a little sore. So how many of you have seen a horse get dental work? Anybody? Then brace yourselves. It involves big power tools. The horses are sedated a little, so they'll stay a little bit calm. But you can see why the horses hate it. Hate it. Look at the size of the power tool she's got.
Oh my God.
Kind of shocking. Yeah. This is how dental horses get work done.
Is she filling a tooth or is
She mainly what horses' teeth grow their whole lives. So it's called a float. And if anybody here knows horses, probably somebody does better than I. But a dental exam is called a float. So really what they end up doing mostly is taking shaving pieces off. So they're fixing, you know, the way a bite will work better, because it always has a tendency to, you know, one tooth may grow faster than the other side, and then the thing is off. So when you read the research article, you know, it's in dental language, and I needed help translating it from what I got from Debbie Fisher, the Guardian. But the bottom line is it's mostly filing things off, is what it mostly involves.
Does it hurt? Does it hurt?
No, they're sedated. I mean, it's not like they're drilling into the root like we get work done. It's not like that. So they don't like it, but it usually doesn't hurt. And they always feel better when it's done, you know. Yeah. Bob Wolk is the gentleman on the right, having fun taking pictures with poor Venus at Venus's expense. So, but then the veteran had some questions as well. So Daniel asked Chance, oh, it's so hot. Daniel asked Chance, how does my anger affect you? And Chance said, anger is like a rake as opposed to a brush. It feels sharp, like laying down on rocks instead of a bed of straw. I prefer straw. I just live with it and carry your load of anger until I feel you dropping it little by little. I know you intend to drop it, and you feel better when you shed it. Some days it takes longer than others. I have come to just have patience until you let it go. You prefer straw too, I know. You like the difference. Daniel asked, what do you fear? And Chance said, there are several, I fear being forced to jump a fence or being herded into a corner with no exit. I fear getting tangled up and caught up in fencing or rails. Who's the current alpha of the herd? Chance said, there are several males, but I try not to get into politics. I would piss someone off if I name names. There are some big egos involved. Daniel asked, does the weight of the rider make a difference in pain or enjoyment? And she said, it's just the weight distribution mainly. I can carry a good deal of weight if it's centered and balanced. The veteran's comments, I feel like Chance and I have a real connection. I've ridden other horses and not felt this deep of a relationship. I feel this relationship is something we both really enjoy doing. I'm really committed to her. I'm just picking things out here. I noticed she would be less comfortable around some horses and more comfortable with other horses. She has helped me to understand assertiveness versus aggression. I learned that when I got nervous or anxious, I had to calm myself, steady myself, to relax her. I realized my anxiety did affect her. When I was anxious, she wouldn't respond to me as well. It did take time. If I'm unconsciously tense, she will pick up on it and reflect it back to me. They're pretty good mirrors. And he finished with, at the beginning of a session, I may be uncomfortable, but by the end, I am more comfortable. By the end of every session, I feel a lot smoother. She's helped me learn how to be at peace. And Celeste had some questions for Frank. She'd like to know why you're so cranky a lot of the time. Frank said, I get an upset stomach. It's something that doesn't sit well. Maybe one of the supplements. It's hard to say because everything comes together, but something isn't quite right. The veteran's comments, this information is so accurate it was humorous. He really does love to eat, that's my boy. Dead on answers. His stomach is hurting him. He nips me when I tighten the girth if I pull too tight. So I don't tighten it much at first. Sometimes I have to tighten it 2 or 3 times. The Guardian had a comment about Frank's tummy problem. She said, Frank's tummy issue was a surprise to me. I had him on medications at his previous location for his tummy. But when I brought him home, I did not realize he was still having issues since they had not given him anything for months before he came home. Their neglect. I immediately put him back on his medication and have noticed a huge difference in him. Thank you from both me and Frank for letting me know. This horse loves to eat. Marcy had some questions for Red Star. Is my anxiety too much for you? What can I do better? He said, the question is your anxiety too much for you? I am here to soothe that. I am separate from you. Don't worry about me. I am a column, your pillar. Do your work, soak up my calm, be in the nutrition of my strength, and let your anxiety become a thing of the past. Marcy asked, I know you've been around a while. What do I need to learn to live? Red Star said, some of us need many life journeys to find a smooth path. Yours has been extra rocky this time around. If you can spend the rest of this life soothing and smoothing it, finding the passes in the mountains, the peaceful streams in the valley, you will have joy as the basis to build on next time. You will recognize joy. Keep building happy and shining chapters in your life to balance out the terrible ones. There is so much happiness around the corner. Communicator's note on this particular session. She said, in this reading, as I began and several times throughout, I kept getting the name rhubarb instead of Red Star. Maybe that rings a bell for someone, because the communicator doesn't know where that's coming from. That's what she's getting. And the Guardian commented, that last remark in his communication has to do with rhubarb. Red Star loves to stand by the garden fence when we're weeding the garden. Bob gives him the cut-off tops of the rhubarb over the fence, which tells me this is one of his favorite treats. And then there's Tiberius. So James asked, why are you so anxious and nervous away from the herd when we're on the back 40 in the forested area? This ranch has a very large riding trails out behind. She's got a lot of property and she's created a lot of riding trails in the back. Tiberius said, you have to realize I'm usually never out of sight of another horse. Horses are herd animals. Safety is in the herd. All my life, I've always been able to see another horse wherever I looked. Or I could hear one. I know you like to go out there and I'm willing to go. I just don't enjoy it so much. I like to know where I am. When we're out there and I get worried, I'm wondering, does he know where he is? Are we going to go this way forever? When are we going to turn around and go home? James says, it seems like the two of you have a really strong bond, but he wonders what it is that makes it so. It feels good for him, but he wonders if it's something you feel as well, or if it's something as simple as him giving you a carrot at the end of the day. Tiberius said it's not about the carrot, okay? You know, just like some people like horses better than other people, some horses like people better, and I like him. I feel good when I'm with him. James and I know what we're doing together. He doesn't have a lot of expectations. What we do together is okay, and it's okay with me. I like that. He's not pushing me to do something I don't want to do, or making me do the same old thing over and over and over and over again. James wondered, should you continue doing new things together? Tiberius said, absolutely. I can learn new things. I can go new places. I'm not a wimp. I am a strong, muscular, capable horse, and don't you forget it. That's important to me. I don't want to be some namby-pamby pampered puss. I want to be strong, valuable, admired, respected. Those are the things that are important to me. Finally, James asked, do you feel his depression or know that he suffers from depression? Tiberius said, that's a strange word, depressed. Sad. Sad for a long, long, long time. Does he have enough food to eat? Does he have friends? Does he have a place to live? I'm his friend. I'm not sure why he's so sad. I don't expect sadness. I don't experience sadness when he's here. What I feel is that he looks forward to seeing me. I can feel him thinking about me when he's miles away. I know he's looking forward to coming to see me. And when he gets here, he's always glad to see me. He's always glad to put his hands on me, then we saddle up and get going. When he's out in the saddle and we're out and about, sometimes he thinks of big things, but that's all right. He can think about what he wants to think about. I think about what I want to think about. No, I don't feel his depression or that he suffers from it. I don't quite understand the concept. Sorry. And James comments, this was a pretty good assessment of how he is. His comment about my liking horses better than people seems like that's true. I like Tiberius a heck of a lot. James said, Tiberius does want to know what's coming next. He's more accepting of something when he knows it's coming. The Guardian had some comments on this session. And Debbie said, boy, do I ever see a horse's personality come out like this? This is so the Tiberius that I see every day. He is by far one of the most beautiful horses here in the place, but a loner, and can be a bully to the other horses. By hearing what he has to say tells me that I really need to have a very clear picture in my mind to portray to him so that he understands what I want of him. Tiberius's relationship with James was also confirmed by this communication. He does not have any bond with either Bob or I, even though we do ride him. It will make it easier to sell him to James when the time comes, to know that they really do enjoy one another's company. And finally, Alex. And Alex asked this little 1-year-old filly, why am I a loser? And White Lightning said, I think you are angry and you feel prickly to others, but you are not finished yet. Sometimes you form a wall around you and others can only turn away from the blunt face of it. If you make yourself round and softer, make yourself easier to bump up against and stand with, you can bend and blend with us. If you don't put yourself in a sharp, cold, or stone-hard case, we can nuzzle you, feel you, and breathe into you. Do you ever watch us, how horses do these things? We nuzzle, massage, sniff, breathe in and out, and place our bodies not only next to, but within the shape of each other. It makes us trust and know one another deeply. Maybe you could try this. Lean into a horse. Wrap around us with your torso like we do. Not so much with your hands and arms, but with your body and heart. It's not possible for a wall to do this. You'll see. Yeah. Alex said, do you want a loser, a.k.a. Alex, to work with you? And White Lightning said, sure. You can change from what you think is the wrong way to be. Every new day gives you more time to try. Alex said, why don't you like the clippers on your bridle path? Which is that, right up their face. White Lightning said, those clippers make my whole head feel like a rattlesnake is exploding in my ears. I can't wait to get away from it. It cannot possibly be good. My head and hearing are too sensitive for such a scary roar. I can put up with a lot of things, but that's not necessary in my opinion. Finally, Alex asked, "Do you like me?" And White Lightning said yes, and I'll like you even more when you get to know us, copy us, be like us, and become a member of our barnyard. I'll be your guide. I'll show you. I'll teach you to be one of us, if you like. So Alex's comment, this was pretty accurate and useful information. What helped the most was her comment about my feeling cold and hard to her sometimes. Now I'm consciously aware of my emotions when I'm with her and try to spend more time with her at the ranch. So again, I had the veterans give me an overall usefulness. I mean, we couldn't really do accuracy, right? It wasn't those kind of questions, but it was more around, was this information useful to you in building your relationship with your therapy horse? And on a 1 to 6 scale, the average rating across all was 4.9. So here I've got another video, more wind noise, sorry, of Debbie Fisher, the guardian.
What the horses were saying to the animal communicators was correct or not. And one of the examples that just really blew me away, we were actually 100% right with all of the dental on mouth pain for the horses. So for a research project like this to have been 100% correct, it's just absolutely amazing. But one of them, a horse by the name of Vision, a paint, he had actually told the animal communicator that he had mouth pain in his jaw down low, and it was between his gum and his teeth, and something really hurt. And so it was very easy for me to go ahead and share with the veterinarian that, okay, this is what the animal communicator found out from the horse. He's having mouth pain down here. Can you please check? And she actually at that time had told the animal communicator that it was something was stuck in between his teeth. And wouldn't you know it, when the vet went ahead and actually opened up his mouth and took a look, there was a wood chip that was wedged in between his teeth and his gums that had been causing the pain. I mean, if you can't, that is just absolutely amazing. So as a horse owner and these are working horses that work with veterans that have post-traumatic stress and other issues, it's very important to keep that herd healthy and working well. And so for me, being able to verify and have an animal communicator share with me what the horse shared with them in regards to what's going on with their mouth was very beneficial.
And our research team, Debbie Fisher and Bob Wolk, are partner. Crystal Ashley was one of the communicators. My other friend, Wanda Buckner, both of them live in Olympia and have animal communication practices. We're the research team. So I left a couple of my business cards in back. My website. I'm going to do that right now. I've got a ton of handouts back there. Please help yourself. This was the first piece I got published before I had even finished my dissertation, around intuition, telepathy, and interspecies communication, a multidisciplinary perspective. I did not come up with that title. My committee did. Paranormal Review was published with the Society of Psychical Research that you remember that I work with. They're in London, and that was out of the regular journal. Integrating Body, Mind, and Spirit, an essay reviewing the physiological, psychological, and spiritual benefits of meditation. And if you don't know any of these things, if nothing else you read in that stack, please read this one back there, because it will change your life if you can learn to have a meditation practice. Anthrozoology is another good paper. Quantifying the positive effects of human-animal interactions and relationships. This was one of my essay papers for my dissertation work. A lot of it ended up in the dissertation. But again, it was a big, long paper. That one is available on my website if you want to go download it yourself. It's about 60 pages. And then one more thing I want to mention here about a code of ethics for interspecies communicators. This was originally written by Penelope Smith. She's pretty much the grande dame of telepathic communication. This is really important. I mean, this work there's a huge ethical component to it. I have been asked by someone at work, well, I want you to talk to my neighbor's barking dog and tell him to shut up. Answer's no. Here's my card. Have the guardian call me, and when I'm talking to the guardian, then we'll talk to the dog. But, you know, there's things, you can talk to wild animals, but when, you know, the word gets out, once you kind of learn how to do this, and anyone can learn how to do this, absolutely anyone, you'll get asked some really pretty strange questions along those lines. And the ethics become very important.
Yeah, this
break
has been
time.
great. Thanks.
Okay.
Can we have a couple of questions before the
Oh,
break?
absolutely.
It would really help
Sure,
if I could lead.
sure.
So when you're communicating with the animals, do you get words from them? Do you get energy that you give words to? How, in your understanding, how does that work?
How does it work? This is my personal theory, and when I do a communication session, I spend 15 to 20 minutes getting prepared for it. I'm sitting quietly in my meditation room. I've got a blackout mask on across my eyes. I use breathing techniques, visualization techniques, some of which we're going to go into this afternoon, right after. Yoga breathing techniques. It's all about learning to quiet your mind. And in about 10 to 15 minutes, I know that I'm ready to say, Angie, are you there? In my mind, when I can no longer feel my hands or feet. So, personally, I mean, I have learned to do this work. I basically put myself in a trance. You get to that state of just almost falling asleep. Your brain waves have slowed down, you know, just to the point of you're just about falling asleep. And I believe it shifts your consciousness. I don't feel like my consciousness is no longer in my body. And I've shifted my consciousness into spirit, is how I think of it. And I believe animal communication works off the heart connection. When I first started doing animal communication, I'd work off a picture. And then I'd call the guardian later and say, this is what I got. And then, because I wasn't brave enough to do it with somebody on the phone. And then after a year or two, I thought, this is silly. And I got brave enough to do it with somebody on the phone. And when I've got the guardian on the phone, on a headset, I'm still in my blackout mask, the connection is just so much more immediate. And it's so much stronger. It is so much stronger when I've got that heart connection to the animal, right? And I know what the animal looks like because for every communication session, I ask the guardian to send me a picture, at least one, and specifically at least one showing their face and eyes. So I know what this animal looks like, and I've got the heart connection on the phone. So yeah, I mean, it can be, if the guardian is prepared with a list of questions, it can actually go pretty quickly. You know, you can get a lot of information in 20 or 30 minutes. Sometimes the companion animal has a lot to say. Sometimes it's a matter of, you know, a new animal came in the house and all the power, you know, everything's been disrupted. Cats are particularly, how can I say this? Cats lay energy grids in a house. That's what I believe. And when you move something like their box, or you get anything new, or there's a new cat in the house, that is going to disrupt things. And I'm not sure, you know, guardians really understand how much of that disruption is real to animals. Oh, we got a new puppy. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Yeah, you know, maybe your 14-year-old dog does not think that's wonderful. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you do personal, like in-person readings? Like you go to
I don't, and most animal communicators who do this for a living, I'm not one of them, don't want to be in the same room, and I don't either. I just do it on the phone. I'd rather be just on the phone because it separates the physical energy. I don't need the physical energy. I just want to talk to the animal's higher self. What else? Yeah.
What does it feel like to be able to talk to them?
What does it feel like to be able to talk to them?
Yeah.
Sometimes I laugh out loud. Sometimes I cry underneath my blackout mask. One of the dogs I talked to in the dissertation, it was so sad, was a big, what is it, the big dogs with a lot of hair, big giant.
Saint Bernard.
Newfoundland.
There you go, Newfie. It's a Newfoundland. And this household had multiple dogs, and one of the dogs was this Newfie, and like 3 months later, they also had a little bitty cup something. And about 3 months earlier, the little dog had a treat or something, or I'm sorry, the Newfie had the treat, and the little dog tried to take it away, and the Newfie went chomp right on its head, and he killed it. And this dog was destroyed. This dog was so sad. It was so heartbreaking, really. It really was to talk to him. And, you know, and the guardian said, no, you know, tell him we've forgiven him. You know, it was an accident. We know he never would have done anything like that. But the dog couldn't forgive himself. It was heartbreaking. So, you know, sometimes they're that.
Well, does it feel different than, like, do you get used to it like you talk to people, or are you still always kind of surprised by it?
I'm not surprised anymore.
Because, I mean, most people are not, right? So,
Yeah, I've done it for 12, 13 years now. So, am I surprised by it? No. People that we know still ask my husband, do you think she can really talk to animals?
I'd be surprised.
George says, yeah, actually, she really does. So it feels, you know, that one session with the Newfie was just heartbreaking, and I was really glad it was the one, you know, at the end of that day. I mean, I was running like three or four a day when I was in the dissertation work. But at the same time, you know, some of them, I mean, just talking to my two cocker puppies at one point, and we were out of town, and they had broken down a dog door and run around the house barking in the middle of the night, and got the dog sitter, you know, all stirred up. And so this young girl told me about it, and I'm talking to my two dogs, and I asked Fanny, so what was all that about? Why did you knock down the door and we're running around the house? And Fanny said, oh, Sugar did it. Which is entirely possible, because Sugar was the tomboy. Fanny was just this cute little thing. She would never have broken down a door. It was Sugar. Sugar did it. And I think that sound, once I've got the guardian on the phone, I've also had several instances where they can hear what I'm hearing. When I'm connected to an animal, they can hear what I'm hearing. I kind of blew Fanny away one day when we were on a ferry, and the ferry, you know, horn went off. God, poor thing, it practically stopped her heart, you know, and I was just in the car on the ferry ride talking to her. Another time, before the dissertation work, you have to do a pre-research piece. And in that work, again, it was before I had the guardian on the phone, and so husband was reading the guardian's questions to me, and then I'm online with the animal, but not with the guardian. I'm just telepathically talking to the animal. And at one point he read a question out loud, and then I repeated it, and the dog said, "You don't have to repeat everything." Oh, okay. So we stopped doing that, and I came up with another way to do it. I don't remember now. But what else? Yeah.
So your communication is nonverbal with these?
It is nonverbal. It's all through your head. It is so subtle. I mean, but you just learn, and that's what we're going to talk about here in a minute. It's about impressions. Sometimes I hear words. Sometimes I get pictures. Sometimes I get a friend recently asked me to talk to her little white Maltese, and she was kind of checking me out, I think. And she said, well, what did the dog used to do every morning? And she did it for years. What would she always do to us every morning? And literally, I got a flash in my head of the dog jumping on a bed and licking them all over their faces. And I said that, and it turns out that's exactly right. So in that case, it wasn't, the dog didn't use words, but the dog just sent me a picture. So sometimes words, sometimes pictures. Sometimes if it's a health issue, it's just as easy to ask the animal if my consciousness can enter their body, so I can feel what they're feeling. And I can come back to the guardian, who said, she's limping in the back. It seems to be like both legs. What's going on with her back end? Is it a knee? Is it a hip? So I can go into her body and say, no, it's her left knee. That's what hurts. So sometimes you ask, are the Akashic records?
Do these animals have what we would call a higher self, an oversoul, guides?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Energy never dies, it only changes form.
And reincarnation?
Of course.
They're into that.
Of course.
Yeah,
Energy
the
never
horses
dies.
was talking
It
about
only
that.
changes form.
One of the
Yes.
horses was talking about
Yeah.
dogs after they
Dogs to humans and back, or
That's another whole hour-long conversation.
well,
Is there a hierarchy in returning lives? One of my spiritual masters says there is. I said, I want to come back as a well-cared for Cocker Spaniel. And he said, no, it doesn't work that way. You can't do that. Another friend wants to come back as a whale.
maybe another hour.
Maybe another one, yeah.
So do you read dogs after they have died?
Have I spoken with dogs after they have died? Yes.
Yeah.
Usually, I want to wait about a week. Too soon is just confusion on their part. They don't know what's going on. I've had the misfortune to have to put several dogs down, but I asked for the others to come in and come get her, and they do. Yeah.
Okay, have you worked with anyone, or have you done Reiki for animals?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's really powerful.
Yeah, okay.
It's really powerful. Do you want to speak? Yeah, my Reiki that I've done on Sophie.
And I'm also the friend who, where she got the picture from the Maltese about licking our faces.
Oh,
She was
okay,
just
cool.
so insistent as a little puppy on doing it. She had to groom us every morning before we got out of bed, or we just couldn't get up. And this is a whole brand new thing for me. I've been experienced in this area, and we're new neighbors, and so this is quite an adventure. And so she has done 2 Reiki treatments on Sophie, the little Maltese. Sophie is 17 years old. Wow. And she's in the, near the end of her days. And it was quite apparent, and we even had a situation where we took her to an ER vet 2 weeks ago, and they wanted to put her down, and we didn't think it was really, she was in desperate straits, but not yet. And Deborah has done amazing work with her, and this is from someone who's like, it's not that I believe a lot of what she's talking about, but I'm inexperienced in it. There's a difference. And so when she's treating my dog with the healing energy, the changes that have come over this older dog are really eye-opening. You cannot deny that something has actually taken place. And even this morning, my little dog is running through the house, 17 now. She's up and down the stairs, following me every time, multiple. We probably took 10 trips up and down the stairs yesterday, and she was there for every one of them. And she was before Deborah had this experience with her, the dog, we're just crazy about this little dog. She's our baby. You know how those things go. But she had separated herself from us. She didn't want to sit with us on the couch. She was always very careful about sharing herself equally with us, either being equal distance between us or time with this. Now I'm going to spend time with you. She separated from us and stayed in a different room. And it felt like a loss already. And since then, that whole bond, the fun of having her, the companionship, just the sweetness that she gives to our lives is back, and it's just wonderful. And we know at 17 her days are short, you know, but to have this reprieve and see her picking up her desire to be with us is remarkable. Just
Thank you for sharing that. I hate to interrupt you, but we
Yeah.
do need to keep going.
Well,
So we're having a little
I'm
break
just
now.
really surprised.
So what I want to lead you guys through are a couple exercises. First, we're just going to learn to get quiet and focused with a couple visualization techniques that you can, tips. One of the handouts is techniques for quieting the mind. A grounding exercise is what we're going to go through here real quick. A stillness mantra is something that you can use. Chanting or toning, some of the meditation techniques, use that. Sit quietly and focus on your breathing. I mean, just think about your breathing. You can't think about nothing. Your monkey mind will not let you do that. So you trick it into thinking about things like counting your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it for a few seconds and count it back out. And count it as you take a breath in. Give it something to think about, and so you can control what it's thinking about. A beam of light. As you sit quietly, visualize a beam of light coming in the back of your head, near the top and coming out between your eyes. That one doesn't really work for me so much, but it might work for you.
That's good.
Spend some time in silence. We live in so much noise. I mean, you got the TV on, the radio on. You live and work, and just let yourself be quiet for a while. Remember a time of peace. Recall a time when you were in awe or felt total peace. Maybe it was a sunset, a baby's birth, a mountain peak, a whale. So let's start with a kind of a simple grounding. And close your eyes, both feet on the floor, get comfortable in your seat, whatever that means for you. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, take a deep breath. And let it out as fully as you can. Just take a deep breath and just let it out. And then take another deep breath in. Really focus on your breathing. Focus on feeling that air come into your lungs and back out again. And as you continue to breathe, consciously slow down your breathing. And take deep, deep breaths. And consciously slowing it down. You can slow down your heart rate when you learn to control your breathing. And as you feel your breathing start to quiet your mind a bit. So visualize a grounding cord. Now that can be, a golden cord. It could be something the size of a tree trunk coming out from the base of your spine and going down through the chair, through the floor, into the earth. And keep it going. Keep that cord going way down deep into the heart of Mother Earth. Allow your thoughts and tension to flow through that cord into the earth. Just let it go down that cord. And then with every in-breath, now visualize what you're bringing up from Mother Earth is clean, white, healing energy right back into your trunk. So with every deep out breath, you're sending tension and anxiety and thoughts down into the earth. And with every in-breath, you're pulling up clean, brilliant, white, healing energy. And you're filling your body with it. You can feel it start to fill your body up with every breath. You can feel more and more of that white light filling up your body. So we'll enjoy that for a moment. And then you can visualize disconnecting from the earth. Pull yourself back up. Pull your consciousness, pull that trunk back into your body. So we're back in the room again. So we're back in the room again. Okay, take another deep breath. Okay, come back to the room. Open your eyes. There's a huge healing you can do for your own self if you can just learn to get quiet and learn to watch your breath. Your breath is incredibly powerful. How many people have a meditation practice now? Oh, better than half. Excellent. So same idea. Anybody that has a meditation practice is halfway there to talking to an animal because you've already learned to quiet your mind. You're already halfway there. But for this, so having done that, now let's do, you guys are pretty good. So I'd like you to pick someone sitting next to you and turn the chairs so you're facing each other. And what we're going to do is we're going to practice just sending a golden cord from you to the person across from you. And then we'll come back to the room and then we'll take it one more step. So
You can do with me if I can.
So everybody got somebody? Yes, 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 yes. We're good? You guys are okay? Okay? One more chair shift. Okay. So we're going to move a little bit faster this time. We're going to get down, we're going to get quiet, and then we'll think about connecting to that other person. Okay. Eyes closed. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Take another deep breath. And let it out. And get that trunk, get grounded again. So visualize that trunk coming out of your seat and traveling down through the chair, through the floor, down to the earth. And it keeps going down, traveling farther and farther down. And now with every breath you take in, now you're filling your body with clean, sparkling, healing energy from Mother Earth. And every out-breath, you're sending down tension and anxiety and worries. And then when you've got that cord firmly connected to Mother Earth, now bring your thoughts back to your heart chakra. And visualize your heart chakra spinning open. All of our chakras are spinning all the time. And things start to go wrong when our chakras are not working well. So imagine your heart chakra is just spinning open. And you're going to send a golden cord out from that chakra and connect it with the person across from you. So keep breathing. Slow, even, deep breaths. And imagine that golden cord that's now got you connected to the person across from you. Okay, one more deep breath. And we'll start to bring our consciousness back to the room again. Bring your trunk back up into your seat. And disconnect that golden cord from the person across from you and pull it back into your own heart chakra. And take a deep breath and come back to the room. And take another deep breath. And come back to the room. Okay? It was so good so far. Calming, relaxing. Okay? So the next time, we're going to get grounded and send that golden cord out. And this time, I need everyone, we're going to have a sender and a receiver on every pair. So I'm going to state a color. And I want the sender to really, really focus on sending something of that color, right, down that golden cord to the other person. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So everybody figure out who's sending and who's receiving. Who wants to do it first? Okay, we got that figured out? Everybody knows who's who?
You're sending.
Who's sending? Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So we're going to do this again, and this time the senders, when I state that color, you're going to really concentrate, put all your thinking focus into sending the image, right? And just pick the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't go, oh, this or that, or maybe that one. No, I think I'll settle on this one. Don't do that. When I say the color, the first thing that pops into your mind, just stick with it and just focus on sending that to the person sitting across from you. Okay? We're good? Okay, everybody knows who's sending and who's receiving. Okay, close your eyes. One more time. Take a deep breath. And visualize that cord. Again, grounding you to Mother Earth. Coming out of your trunk and traveling down through the chair, through the floor, into Mother Earth. And with every breath in, you're bringing in clean, sparkling, white, healing energy. And with every breath out, you're sending down anxiety and thoughts and anxious feelings. Take a couple deep breaths. And now bring your consciousness again back to your heart chakra and visualize Your heart chakra is just spinning open, like a lily flower, perhaps. And send that golden cord out to the person across from you, so you can connect with them. And now the senders, focus as much as you can on sending something that is the color green. Just take whatever comes to your mind, the first thing. And as you continue with your deep breathing, just really focus on sending something green. And the receivers should be completely open. The mind should be a complete blank slate. Because you just want to be able to receive an impression of something from the sender. So senders should stay focused on sending whatever you chose to be that was green. Whatever other noises just become part of the scene, may wash over you, because they don't matter. Okay, so let's start to bring our consciousness back. Pull that golden cord back into your heart chakra. And disconnect from that energy from that other person. Bring your trunk back up. And shift your consciousness again back into the room. And let's see how well that worked. Anybody want to share? Any receiver? Let's start with senders. Let's start with you guys. What were you sending? Who was the sender?
I was the sender.
Okay.
I was sending an oak leaf.
An oak leaf.
Well, what I got, when you said green, I got an asparagus, and then it changed to a branch with leaves.
And it changed to
A branch with leaves.
a branch with leaves. Okay. Who else wants to share with the group? Who was the sender of you guys? So let's listen here for a second. Well, go ahead.
I was just thinking about the green fern in my yard, but I was like in the fern and looking at all the green.
Okay. How about the receiver? What did you get?
I thought he either sent money, a dollar bill, or a chair.
Okay. Okay. How about you guys?
I got an impression of a green mint.
Of a green mint leaf? Okay. It's a little different. Paula, yeah. How about you guys?
George he sent me a green alligator. All I had was hair.
Was it pear?
Hair. But there is an alligator there.
There is?
It's an avocado.
But it's red.
It's an avocado.
It's an avocado? It's called an alligator pear?
It's a cactus.
Who knew? Okay. How about you guys in back?
I was sending a lime fruit.
Oh, a lime? Okay.
Seemed to me it was like a curtain, like a green curtain.
Okay.
I was thinking about the purple one.
You think-
Oh, but you got the color green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of you, it sounds like, you may not have gotten the shape right necessarily, right? But did you get the color?
But we heard you say green.
Yes. And I did. So you're saying the receiver would have been biased because they heard it being green. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, go ahead.
So I flashed on green a second before you said.
Very intuitive.
He is.
Gentleman back there. Okay.
Oh, we did not. She sent across and I saw an apple or a tree.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's reverse. So the sender becomes the receiver.
Try it.
All right? The receiver becomes the sender. Did I get that right both ways? Okay, so everybody's clear on who's sending, who's receiving. We're switching this time? Okay? Okay, close your eyes. Another deep breath. Think about that trunk moving down into the earth. And as it moves further down, you become more calm and more relaxed. And you can visualize with every breath in, what you're pulling up from the earth is clean, healing, sparkling white energy. And what you're sending down to the earth with every out breath is your stress, worries, and now again imagine your heart chakra spinning open. A lily bloom spinning open and transferring a golden cord from your heart chakra to the person across from you. And the receivers should be trying to make their mind completely blank. Visualize just a blank chalkboard, perhaps. And the sender needs to really, really focus on sending an image of something purple. So the sender needs to really focus on the shape of that object. And the receiver needs to just have a completely blank slate. So whatever comes in is what you get. Okay. Well, let's slowly bring that golden cord back into your heart chakra. And slowly bring that trunk up back into your body. And slowly bring your consciousness back to the room. And we'll see what you got. Go ahead and share with each other. She got it. Usually about the second or third time, people start getting it.
So I visualized a card, it prints his face, and it's pointed here, purple, and you got the color right.
Okay, who wants to share? We got one set. We got two people that got it right. So let's hear what you said, what you guys got. You said purple grapes. And that's what you got.
So she got yours.
Okay. How about you guys? Did you get the shade?
You said to be the first thing that comes to mind.
Right.
Came to mind was the musician Prince and Purple Rain. But you got a good purple and color. So,
well, okay. Okay, let's share with the group. What'd you guys get?
I said purple grapes as well, but she got purple rain too.
That's too much process.
Well, yeah, you know, I've been in groups that it's like, oh no, that's what I was sending. And it's like, oh, they're right behind them. You know, yeah, you're a really powerful singer. I mean, it can happen. What'd you guys do?
I sent a purple amethyst that cuts down like a crystal.
Oh.
A purple woman's purse.
Kind of vaguely shape-ish, perhaps? Yeah, go ahead.
So I got a shape like this, 2 straight lines like that, and he said his was a shawl in deep purple, and then at the very end I got gem.
Ah.
The word gem.
So we're getting it.
All this energy bouncing around in here, you know, you can just almost see it, can't you? How about you guys? Yeah, good.
Yeah, so she first focused on an eggplant and the sheen on it.
Shiny, very shiny.
Yes, and then I started to see a purple light that started to form into more rough cut or smoothed gemstone and amethyst. And then eventually that turned into a very finely cut amethyst.
Oh.
But it kept switching
Yeah.
back and forth between more of the you know, just rounded polish back to the gemstone, back and forth. And when we were sharing, she said, she goes, I'm sorry, but that's what her mind was doing.
Oh, there you go.
Was going from the finely cut
From the
one.
stone to the eggplant. The shine went to the stone, and then it went to the rounded eggplant.
So you were correct not just once, right, but twice. Because every time she was changing, you were getting it.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you guys see how subtle that is? I mean, it's so subtle. And yet first you just can't believe that it's even real. You know, did I just hear that from the dog? Did I just hear that, really? I finally convinced myself that I could actually do animal communication when I talked to a golden retriever, and it was in a multi-dog household, and the guardian wanted to check and make sure that she was okay. They'd had to put her best friend down, and she said, the dog said, well, I'm okay. You know, we miss Kip, but he was done. He was tired. And it was the best thing. So yeah, we're doing okay. And I asked the dog if she had any message for her mom, and she said, I'd really like a bath. And a really good comb out. And my left brain said, you did not just hear that. And I said, okay, I'll tell her. Okay. And this is, you know, where you start to put yourself out there. Now again, I'm just working off a picture, and I call the guardian and I say, and I don't know, you know, we go through the whole thing, and I said, I don't know where this comes from, but she says she really would like a bath. And the guardian said, oh, she hasn't had a bath for about a year. And I said, Peggy? I mean, dogs may not like baths, but they like to be clean. You know, most do like an occasional bath. I said, well, why didn't you give this dog a bath? And she said, oh, well, she had this, you know, the breathing thing going, and when she'd get anxious or worried, she'd start to have trouble breathing, and, you know, so we just haven't given her a bath. I said, Peggy, give the dog a bath. She really wants a bath. Yeah.
Question, you know, we're doing human-to-human telepathic imagery and stuff. Do you ever pick up guardian imagery, or do you ever get confounded signals of what these kind of communicate with the animal?
Well, that's a good question, and I guess I would have to say I don't really know, except I guess I just have faith that I'm connecting with the animal. I've never, you know, given information back to a guardian. The guardian would say, "Oh, you got that from me." Not ever, not ever. I've had other dogs answer. Like I said, with the two greyhounds, you know, it's a party line. I've had a guardian say, "Well, can't you talk to one, but don't talk to that one because they don't get along?" And so she wanted to ask questions, right? And I was like, "No, it doesn't work that way. It really doesn't." Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself in communication with an animal without really intending to?
Well, no, because I spend so much time making sure that I'm really confident that I'm connecting with that animal. I mean, like I said, I do 15 to 20 minutes prep time. So, but not all communicators have to spend that much time, you know, getting their mind quiet like I do. My good friend Mary Getton, who's been doing this work for years and years and years and years now, she can close her eyes. She closes her eyes and she's connected to the dog. You know, that's all it takes for her, because she's got that wired. You know, there's a phrase in science about neurons that connect together, wire together, and the more you do this work, the more practice you get, the better you get at it, like everything, right? And you're connecting neurons in your brain.
I'm thinking, like, if you're going for a hike or something, and an animal communicates with you and it wasn't part of a setup, structured communication session.
Well, you know, sure, for my dog, yeah. I mean, she knows what I'm thinking before I think it. She's very good at telling me what she wants me to do next. Right? Spoiled, rotten, only child. You know, she's got me wrapped around her little paws. Have I ever, like, walked through the woods? And yeah, I guess kind of. I mean, we lived in Olympia for almost 23 years. And we had a nesting pair of barred owls in our woods. I could see their nest tree right out of my kitchen window. So for 3 years they came back. I have thousands of pictures of baby barred owls. But I would go out to the woods and sit down and get quiet and get grounded and talk to them. And it was always interesting when you ask a wild animal, do you need anything? You know, do you need anything from us? They're like, no. You poor human, you can't fly. You know, you get condensation and pity when you talk to a wild animal, because they are all in their own skin, right, all the time. I'm sorry, yeah.
Do you talk to cats?
I have talked to cats. Yes, I have. One of my most memorable ones, and this was like one of the first ones where I actually was getting the guardian on the phone, and she was a school chum in Florida, and she's standing in the kitchen cooking dinner, and you could hear the chicken splattering in the background, and I'm talking to her cats, and she said, "This is really funny." She said, "The cats are running all over the house trying to find you." Who's talking to them in their head? Right? Yeah, cats are really different. They have such a different energy.
Little kids, little babies, too?
Have I talked to little kids or little babies? Well, no. No, but I'll say this. I've talked to puppies who are like under a year old, and what you get from a puppy is, I love my mom. I love life. You don't exactly get the meaning of life, you know, from a 1-year-old. That's how they spend their life, right? And I do have a theory that puppies and children are in a different dimension. They live in a different dimension than adults do. I mean, it's as simple as that. Little kids can talk to animals because they don't know that they can't. Nobody's ever told them that they can't. You were saying?
Speaking of puppies, I was thinking of White Lightning, the young horse that you had interviewed a number of times, and the profound responses that she gave, even for being so young. You know, she was just so connected. It was wonderful. And she didn't seem to have that. Of course, you know, she probably aged, I mean, probably a different aging process or pattern than
It is.
humans, but she just, she was beautiful.
Yeah,
Nothing to say.
she had some hard things to say, you know, to Alex, and he had hard questions for her.
Right.
I read that when I got it back from the communicator. I was like, oh my God, why am I a loser? What's she going to say?
Her response was so right on.
Oh, yeah, just amazing.
Yeah.
Did I see one in the back? No. Okay, so I've got a couple more minutes just to cruise through some of the handouts. So was that interesting and fun, I hope?
Oh, yeah.
But that's how subtle animal communication is. Once you get quiet, really, really quiet, really quiet. You know, set your alarm on your smartphone for 15 minutes and sit and breathe and get grounded and get quiet. And then talk to your animal and see what you get. You might be surprised. My very first day at this, the very first class I ever took, she sent us home with some homework. And we were supposed to go home and sit down on the ground. It was summer. Go down, sit outside on the ground. You know, get grounded, do the visualizations, get quiet, and start talking to one of your animals. And see what you get, see what happens. And I did that, and at the time I had 3 Cocker Spaniels, a mama and 2 of her daughters. So I'm sitting on the ground, cross-legged, and I'm saying, Angie, I'm really going to try to learn how to do this. I think you can hear me, you know, but I'm going to have to learn how to, like, dial the radio, you know, just right so I can hear you back. But I'm going to try to really learn, and she walked over and gave me a shove on my arm with her nose. Like, God, yeah, you know, you're broadcasting. Of course I can hear you. Of course I can. I was like, oh, okay then, I'm getting out. Okay, we got half that connection done, right? Okay, then maybe I can do this. One of the handouts, techniques for quieting the mind. We just went through that. Tips on enhancing communication with animals and all of life. Be humble and receptive and allow animals to teach you. You don't have that one? They're back there. Okay. Your attitude influences how receptive you are to their communications. Be mentally alert, receptive, and emotionally peaceful. If the mind is confused and full of thoughts, right, chaos, our monkey minds, you're not going to connect with an animal that way. You have to learn to get quiet. Be flexible and do not cling to conventional notions of human-animal communication. Expect the unexpected and be open to surprises. A friend of mine asked me to talk to her cat. Okay. One of her questions was, what's her favorite treat? The cat's favorite treat. And the cat said something, and I didn't understand it. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you said. And she said it again. It came across to me as there. So I've asked twice, and now you don't want to feel stupid, because clearly the cat knows what it's saying. I'm the one who can't, right, filter it correctly. And then I'm talking to the guardian, and I said, so, you know, the cat was telling me something, but I couldn't understand what words she was saying. I didn't understand it. I said, what is this treat that you're giving her? She said, oh, it's dried ostrich. That was not what I would expect to get, right, from a cat. And the cat was telling me, that's what I got out of my filter, instead of ostrich. So remain open-minded. Don't expect the expected. Do not analyze, criticize, or evaluate any feelings, impressions, thoughts, verbal messages, sounds, or specific ways of knowing. You may get anything. You may get a picture flash through your mind when you talk to your cat. You know, so do your homework tonight. Go home, sit down. I think it's dry. You can go sit down outside in the ground. Get grounded. See what happens. Believe in your own intuitive skills. This is the hardest part. But do not invalidate the messages, images, or impressions received. Practice frequently with a variety of animal species. Stop alongside the road in your car. Get quiet. Talk to a cow. Cows are cool. They really are. Cows have a lot to say. They're really cool. Talk to the, wild animals in your woods. Talk to the birds that come to your bird feeder. Practice tips. Journal and notebook. Start a book where you can record your sessions. I really strongly advise this because I did it. I'm not one to write down all my thoughts in my journals, but I did start a journal, and now I've gone through like four or five of them, and they're all that thick. Because I do take notes for every session that I do, and you can go back and start to see that you're getting better and you're getting more accurate. You're just doing this for your future self. Think of it as doing something for your future self. So you can go back and read that journal. Finding animals to talk to. One great excuse is to pretend that there's no one to talk to. There's always an animal to talk to. Call, write, or email your friends and relatives around the world. Right? Tell them your desire to communicate with animals and how they can help by sending you a photo and some questions that you could ask the animal. Your friends among here, someone that you've met here. Stop alongside the road and talk to sheep, cows, horses, goats, llamas. Llamas are really cool. Llamas are really amazing, magnificent creatures. They have such an interesting attitude toward life. Go talk to a llama. Go to the zoo. Be open to what animals have to say. Might be harder to sit down and get quiet there. And so then the question is, okay, so now I don't know what to ask them. So you've got a handout about introducing. To start with introducing yourself. And I always do. Hi, this is Deborah. Send them a picture of me. Your mom asked me to talk to you. Would you be willing to answer a few questions for me? And I've never had them say no. I've never had an animal consciously lie to me that I found out. I have had animals that didn't want to answer questions. Like a wife who says, do you know, are there other women in the house when I'm gone? And the dog wouldn't answer. Yeah. Yeah. And so first wife could wonder what that meant. So a list of questions. What does your food dish look like? Do you live inside or outside? What does your bed look like? Do you have a job? That's a really interesting question to ask a lot of, especially dogs in multi-animal households. Do you have a job? And they may have a job that you didn't even know anything about. No, I'm the biggest dog, so I'm the guardian. That's why I bark when someone comes. And little dog says, I'm the one to make mom laugh. That's my job. It starts to repeat, sort of increasing accuracy. Set your intention clearly. Ask for help and get quiet and calm before beginning. Part of my 20 minutes of getting prepped for an animal communication session is clearing myself, asking the source to clear me, to immediately and completely clear me of all negative entities, negative energy, ETs and implants, multiple times. Ask for help. I call on the diva of animal communication to help me hear clear messages from the animals I'm about to talk to. I call on the help from the animals, angels and archangels, to help me hear clear messages from the animals I'm about to talk to. Ask for help. Ask for the help from whatever source you trust. And it comes. And then a page of homework. So go home and try it. And see what happens. You may get really surprised. And then one of the companies I want to mention too is a heart map. So this is the paper that they hand out around heart coherence intuition and telepathic animal communication, exploring the heart connection. I can't remember now if I ran the whole thing or not, or if it's just a page or two. But this is a really fun toy/tool to purchase from HeartMath. Have you used them? Yeah, it's really cool. It connects, it's a little thing that connects, a little clip that connects to your finger, your earlobe, and it takes you through some exercises. You may watch a ball move, and you learn to control your breathing, and what it tracks is your heart coherence, which is that space between your heartbeats. That's kind of hard to understand, but on this handout, on a Sunday afternoon, I sat with the HeartMath tool, and this is a highly coherent state, clean sign-like forms. This is where your heartbeat is very even. I'm sitting on my couch. I'm very calm and collected and content. I've got one of my dogs sitting next to me. So the next page is a screenshot after I drove 90 miles. It goes like that. That is not coherence. That is after driving 90 miles to get down here on a Sunday night. So explore the HeartMath if you've never heard of it. It can help you. It has some pretty cool meditation tools that will help you learn how to quiet your mind. Questions?
The questions is right at 6, and I believe there's actually another group coming in after us.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if we have a lot of time, but
okay.
A quick question maybe.
These are lots of handouts, and
Yep.
printing costs money. Would you accept some donations to cover your cost of printing?
I would love donations. What happened here, maybe I'm naive, and I've worked in corporate America, and now I work for the federal government, not as a contractor though. But yeah, I took a bunch of stuff into Office Depot and dropped them off, and went and got lunch and came back to a multi-$100.
Oh, wow.
And I went, wait, what? Mainly the horse research.
Wow.
That's all in color. Yeah, like upwards of $400.
Oh, wow.
So I would love donations. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll share what we collect money for the room and for our snacks, but I'll be happy to share.
Thank you guys. You were great.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.